The meeting started at 6 a.m. It was January 2003. Inside Health South's Birmingham, Alabama headquarters, a group of senior accountants sat in silence waiting for their CFO. They already knew what was coming. They had been doing it for years, falsifying earnings, inventing revenue, signing their names to numbers that did not exist. What they did not know was that one of them had already made a phone call they could never take back. This is the story of Richard Scrushy, the man who built America's largest chain of rehabilitation hospitals from nothing, and then spent 15 years turning it into the biggest accounting fraud in corporate history at the time. Richard Marin Scrushy was born on July 6, 1952, in Selma, Alabama. He grew up poor, not struggling but getting by poor, genuinely poor. He worked as a gas station attendant at 16. He sold vacuum cleaners door to door. He was rejected from medical school, but Scrushy had something that couldn't be taught. He could walk into a room and make every person in it believe they were looking at the future. He retrained as a respiratory therapist. He learned the hospital system from the inside, and in 1984, he founded Health South Corporation in Birmingham with $50,000 in startup capital and one single rehabilitation clinic. By 1986, Health South was publicly traded. By the mid-1990s, it operated over 2,000 facilities across the United States and internationally. It was treating stroke victims, accident survivors, people relearning how to walk. Scrushy became a celebrity. He flew on a private jet. He recorded a Christian rock album. He hosted a television talk show called Viewpoint on a local Birmingham station. He was worth on paper hundreds of millions of dollars. Wall Street loved him. Analysts praised him. And every quarter, Health South reported earnings that met or slightly beat expectations. Every single quarter, for years. That consistency was the lie. It started in 1996. Health South was struggling to meet analyst forecasts. The actual numbers were falling short. Scrushy did not want to disappoint investors. He did not want the stock price to fall. And so, according to prosecutors, he told his CFO to fix the numbers, not adjust them. Fix them. The method was almost insultingly simple. Health South's accounting team, eventually called the Family by investigators, would identify the gap between real earnings and expected earnings. Then, they would create fictitious assets on the balance sheet. Fake journal entries, invented capital expenditures, inflated property values, whatever it took to close the gap. The fraud grew because it had to. Every quarter, the gap was bigger. Every quarter required a larger lie to cover the smaller lie beneath it. By 2003, Health South had overstated its earnings by $2.70 billion. The real company had been insolvent for years. The stock price, the analyst ratings, the glowing press coverage, all of it was built on air. 15 CFOs passed through Health South during the fraud years. Prosecutors would eventually charge 15 of them. 15 different people who sat in that chair, learned what was happening and kept signing. Not one of them went to Scrushy and said no. Not one of them, until William Owens did. William T. Owens became CFO in late 2000. He later told investigators that Scrushy explained the fraud to him within weeks of his appointment, matter-of-factly, like it was part of the job. Owens played along for 2 years. But in 2002, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act passed, requiring CEOs and CFOs to personally certify their financial statements under penalty of federal law. Suddenly, Owens' signature meant something different. It meant prison. In January 2003, Owens contacted the FBI. He wore a wire. Over several recorded conversations, Scrushy allegedly discussed the fraud in explicit detail. The FBI had everything they needed. On March 19, 2003, the Securities and Exchange Commission filed charges against Health South and Richard Scrushy. The same morning, federal agents executed search warrants across multiple Health South facilities. Scrushy was arrested. The stock, which had been trading at over $14, collapsed to pennies. The employees who had falsified the books began cooperating immediately. All 15 CFOs pleaded guilty. They described a culture of absolute fear. One former accountant told prosecutors that when he once questioned a suspicious journal entry, Scrushy stared at him across a conference table and said quietly, "You're either on the bus or you're off the bus." He meant it. Health South had employed 60,000 people. Pension funds had invested billions. Ordinary shareholders, teachers, nurses, retirees had bought the stock because it was a healthcare company, because it felt safe, because Richard Scrushy had a television show and a Christian rock album, and a smile that made people feel like they were in good hands. The criminal trial began in January 2005 in Birmingham. It became one of the strangest spectacles in white-collar history. Scrushy hired a team of 22 defense attorneys. He joined a prominent black church in Birmingham weeks before jury selection. His congregation grew loyal and vocal. Every morning he arrived at the Jefferson County Courthouse on 21st Street North, wearing perfectly pressed suits, his wife on his arm, pausing to greet supporters. On June 28, 2005, the jury acquitted Richard Scrushy on all 36 counts of fraud. The verdict was a shock. Prosecutors had 15 cooperating witnesses, wire recordings, and $2.7 billion in documented false entries. Legal analysts called it a stunning failure. The DOJ called it unfinished business. They came back for him differently. In 2006, Scrushy was charged with bribery in a separate federal case, this one alleging he had paid $500,000 to Alabama Governor Don Siegelman in exchange for a seat on a state health regulatory board. On June 29, 2006, 1 year and 1 day after his acquittal, Richard Scrushy was convicted. He was sentenced to 88 months in federal prison. Governor Siegelman received 7 years. Of the 15 CFOs who pleaded guilty, most received sentences between 1 and 5 years. William Owens, who wore the wire, received 5 years probation. Some served their time. Some moved away quietly. Health South was restructured, renamed Encompass Health in 2018, and still operates today. Scrushy was released from federal prison in 2012. He attempted a business comeback. He launched a consulting firm. He gave motivational speeches. He posted videos online. In 2017, an Alabama court ordered him to pay $2.87 billion in a civil judgment to Health South shareholders, a number so large it exists mostly as a legal abstraction. He has never paid it. The patients kept coming. Through all of it, stroke survivors, car accident victims, men and women who needed someone to help them walk again. They arrived at Health South facilities in Birmingham and Phoenix and Tampa and Boston. They worked with therapists who had no idea their employer was a ghost. They paid their bills. Their insurance companies paid their bills. And somewhere above all of that, in a glass office, on a private jet, on a television soundstage, Richard Scrushy was counting money that did not exist. He built something real. Tens of thousands of people went to work in it every day. Hundreds of thousands of patients were genuinely treated inside it.
And it was all from the inside, hollow. The records were false, the profits were invented, the foundation was rotting, and for 15 years, not one person with the power to stop it chose to.